don't have any processes. I don't train my guys, okay, you've got to say this, you've got to say that. We are just who we are. We love being here. The guys that have jobs as trainers, Dan Skin and Barry Oliver work full time for me. Kaylee loves being in the gym. Chris Tiger White, who used to work for me when he finished his fight career before he shifted away, just love doing what they're doing. So that carries over because you're happy.
Thank you for tuning into the show. Whether you are watching this on martialartsmedia.com or on YouTube, or listening while on the move on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher, this is the Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. My name is George Fourie, and on this show we interview top martial arts school owners, share success stories, share martial arts stories from great martial arts experts, and then we talk about lead generation and marketing strategies in between. So a quick heads up before we jump into the show. I just wanted to make sure that you are already part of our Martial Arts Media business community. It is our free Facebook group where we hang out every day. We talk about lead generation, marketing, and all things martial arts. You can jump in by either clicking a link close to this video or go to martialartsmedia.group. So not martialartsmedia.com, just martialartsmedia.group. That'll take you there. That's the best place for you to go after the show. We are in there every day, and there's a bunch of free resources that we have already uploaded into the group. Things about how to attract the right students, how to increase your sign-up base, how to retain more members, etc. So jump into the show. I will catch you in the group once the show is done. Enjoy. I'll speak to you soon.
Hey, this is George Fourie, and welcome to another Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. So today I'm local and I'm live, so something new, not on the virtual face-to-face. So I'm joined today by Darren Reece. Hey, Darren. Good. Darren Reece, long history in Muay Thai. I'm going to let him share all the stories. Depending on where you're watching this, here in Perth, there's a big Muay Thai movement. And many, if I could almost say all, but most of the paths lead to Riddles and Darren Reece. And if we're sitting here in a room of, how do you describe it? Memorabilia, newspaper articles, trophies, which I've added here as a separate little video. So we're just going to have a chat as we do. So thanks for jumping on.
No worries, George. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So why don't you just give us a quick roundup? Who is Darren Reece?
Oh, well, my fight nickname was the Riddler. That got given to me by Michael Chavello, who used to commentate all the fights on Fox Sports, on Foxtel. He's obviously gone on to very big things around the world, chief commentator, commentating fights. He gave me my fight name. Back then, all the fighters used to call one another by their names, to the point that sometimes you didn't even know the person's first name. It was just, hey Riddler, hey Nugget, hey Pitbull, stuff like that, So been in Muay Thai since 1989. I started training in a combination of Muay Thai and Zendo Kai. Got into it and loved it straight away. Knew it was what I wanted to do. Was actually at uni and decided to leave uni because I wanted to be a fighter, which didn't go down that well with the parents. But eventually, especially my mum, came around and supported what I was doing. So
how do you describe that career path to your professors and lecturers?
Well, University of Muay Thai, I guess I've been to for 30 years, so it's a pretty big degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely the right choice, and very happy in my life and what has been created and what's going on. So I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, totally. So we're sitting here at Riddlers, but before we get into just Riddlers, everything else that's going on, walk us through, how do you get started? You were talking about, we had a chat earlier about you living and training in Thailand as well. Give us a bit of a background of your career.
Well, as I mentioned, I started in Muay Thai and Zendo Kai, which was a martial art that kind of blended everything, the best of everything in progression is what Zendo Kai stands for. Most people in WA, Perth, in the early days started with the BJC, Bob Jones Corporation. I chose, after training for a while, having my first two fights, that I really wanted to pursue the path of fighting. My trainer back then, Sean Allen, that wasn't so much, or that wasn't the path that he wanted to go. So he advised me to move on and go to someone that specialised in Muay Thai. And from there, I discovered Thailand. Obviously, it's so close to Australia, and Muay Thai was starting to become known. More and more exposure to it over here. A Thai person, Pon Mardi, famous pioneer in WA especially, was putting on shows and bringing over well-known world champion Thais, and it just really got my interest, and led me to Thailand. Training trips. So I think the first time was for 1 month, and the second time was overstaying my 3-month visa by a month and staying there for 4 months. And then, another three months trip like that every year. I was making sure I was doing it, and then I lived there from 97 to early 2000. So just did for about 3.5 years straight. So went there for the Kings Cup World Championships, and which I won and stayed. Yeah, loved it.
So how difficult is it for, someone from Australia or, from Western society to fit in with the Thai culture and the whole Muay Thai scene and actually make something of it?
Back when I was going there, there weren't the camps down in Phuket and Koh Samui. There was WMC Lamai Gym in Koh Samui, which is still around and going strong now. But back then, that was pretty much one of the few Western places that you could go. In Pattaya and Thailand, there was Sit Yutong, which was world famous, and that's where all the Westerners were going early on. That's where I went my second trip and spent my 4 months. In comparison to now, where the Thais have realised that it can be a tourist thing, just increasing the exposure of it. It's great for the Thai economy and Thai culture, and obviously the spread of Muay Thai. It's now, it truly is a world sport, and people from all over the world go to these training camps now in Thailand. And, it's not a matter of being accepted or anything like that. It's just you go there and you train. So very, very early on, as I said, those kinds of places weren't around. And the camp that I spent my 3 and a bit years, St. Morakot Gym in Bangkok, a large part of that time I was the only white person there training with professional Thais. It was a professional camp in Bangkok, so it was just the ultimate experience. It was obviously very challenging. There was very little English back then. I had to learn Thai, which I wanted to do anyway, living in the country. And it was a great exposure.
So fast forwarding a bit, how did Riddlers come about?
Riddlers came about in the latter part of my career, where I was full-time. I obviously started to think about the future. Actually, I knew very early on that I wanted to teach Muay Thai, that it was going to be my career after competing, after fighting. So I did make plans for a very long time. I've got lots of books, still got notebooks with notes and ideas, gym names and systems and things that I wanted to have in place. So it was a long plan. And then when I got to that stage of my fight career, I knew that I needed to start thinking of the future or putting it into action, so to speak. So I started doing a few PTs, a couple of small classes, and then the PTs started to build up, and then that led to, okay, it's time to start the gym. So funny story, one of my friends that I used to go to his house to train him. I was training him in his garage underneath his house, which is in Leederville, not far from where we are now. And we finished the session and we were like, man, this is a good size for a gym. So it was about 80 or 90 square metres. It was about a triple-sized carport. And he was looking to shift. So he shifted out of the house. I shifted into the house in Leederville, and that's where Riddlers started. So I was lucky enough, it was kind of a blessing that I only had one lot of overheads. I think rent and stuff like that is the biggest killer of new businesses. So all I had to do was be paying my rent, and I had the gym there. So Riddlers operated from there for about 3.5 years until I started to get too busy and my neighbour complained about parking and noise and that kind of thing. I was getting up to 20 people turning up for evening time classes. I was training with fighters, Eugene Eckelboom, Chris Tiger White, and a couple of my novice newer guys that I was bringing up in the mornings so that I was free to do PTs and teach classes in the evening time, but had problems with the council because of the complaint. And then that pushed me again to take that next step and find a premises which happened to be nearby. Ran into a friend of mine, told him that I was needing to find somewhere because I was having council problems. He was in the butcher's shop and a coffee shop, and he's like, man, come and check out this place behind me. It's like not being used. We'd go and do some training there after work, and we've got a bag hanging up and hit the bag and stuff like that. So I went in there, and it was 200 square metres, so more than double what I had, and it was just perfect. So that was where I started.
Gotcha. You're not the first school I speak to who's transitioned from really focusing on those private sessions. We actually in our partners program that we work. I'm working with a gentleman on Thursday night, and we put together a program called Profit with Privates. Not that was his way of getting started, but they needed to renovate the gym, so they put all their energy in how can they use private classes to stack up the cash. So a good way to transition. So now you guys are you on the main road, huge gym. But what I really want to know from you is, you've got all these champions and all these people that have come through Riddler's gym and reach such a high level. What do you think is the edge? Like, what do you do different that you create so many people at such a high level?
Two things. I think obviously it's my experience from fighting that has sort of experienced all situations, and in fights, seeing what's going on and being able to read it from my experience, being able to communicate that to my fighters, but very importantly, having the respect of my fighters to the point that they listen and use that instruction for their gain. So then it's like they're fighting with my experience, my time, no matter what level they're at, So that's one thing. And the other thing is having strong fighters. I have a saying, iron sharpens iron. So the more strong people that you have working together, the more and the better everyone grows. So if you're like in a small gym that's like one champion fighter and you've only got other novices and stuff to work with, you're not getting that sparring and clinching and stuff like that you need, or perhaps guidance from the trainer because you've outgrown the trainer. Whereas when you've got lots of those people around you, then you all help one another to grow. So yeah, I love that saying, iron sharpens iron, and it's very, very true. So from those early days, when I had the Eugene Eckelbooms, Chad Walkers, Kim Olsons, all those guys, and for the smaller guys, I had Kaylee working with Chris Tiger White, with Pitbull Laram, stuff like that. So those guys all had that common size and got to work hard together, spar hard, clinch hard. So yeah.
Gotcha. So you've got, first and foremost, you've got the right people, and the champions attract more champions that want to, obviously people see their success of that everyone that trains you is having, and that brings more people around. Is there anything else that you really focus on?
Lots of technique. We're big on technique, big on skill, but also big on strong basics. I personally don't use lots of fancy techniques and things like that. I stick with strong basics, and we work those basics. We hammer them over and over again. Everyone is, all my guys are extremely fit, well conditioned, and we're kind of known for that.
Gotcha. So tell me more about Riddlers, and you've got all the fight shows and things like that though.
Well, I've promoted for shows actually before I actually even started the gym. I started promoting with a fellow group, splitting the load between us. That was when I was still fighting, so I was fighting on the shows, but we were a big group promoting together. That led to just a partnership and promoting. I've always felt the need to promote because of the level of guys that I have as fighters. I felt like when guys gain experience, there's obviously a lot less fights locally and even interstate. So if you sit there waiting for the fights to come, or there's no fights, more so there's no fights, fighters lose motivation, they're not in the gym training. These things can happen. So by having a regular schedule of fights, they have those goals. It keeps the fighters motivated. If they know that they're guaranteed 3 or 5 fights per year, they're more likely to stay motivated and in the gym. And then if anything else comes up, and this happens a lot these days because there's a lot more promotions around, a lot more going on, a lot of interstate opportunities come, and you can take fights on fairly short notice. Like I get lots of calls from interstate promoters. We get lots of trips away, and because we're having a big fight team, the promoters also know that they're not just going to get one fighter. If they need 3 or 4, strong chances are that we're going to be able to fit that. So they end up with 3 or 4 big fights on a card with one trainer. So it saves a lot of money. So we get a lot of fights that way.
What's the big drive? I mean, you've built this machine. I mean, obviously you've got the love for Muay Thai and passion for the sport, but what keeps you going? What's the big drive for you?
I guess helping people on the path that I got to follow, leading your guys, passing on your experience, seeing them use it to grow in their experience and just get to live their dreams, to fight and compete. Maybe it's achieve titles, but for a lot, it's just actually, competing and doing it. I love supporting and helping that, trying to help them achieve those dreams.
Gotcha. So I'm trying to dig for things that we haven't asked, and I'm looking at something here that says 10 things you don't know about Darren Reece. And I don't know how old these are, but
yeah, these are pretty old. So back then,
what's changed?
Yeah, quite a few. There's one here. I do not have an iPhone, don't have an iPod, don't use Facebook, don't use Twitter, download music or burn CDs. I still don't do a lot of those things, but I do definitely have an iPhone, and I use Facebook. It's a fantastic business tool and just connecting with people. Good for promoting things. It's really changed the way that we advertise our businesses, as you well know. And even for fight shows, we used to get thousands and thousands of flyers and posters and stuff done up for shows now, and have to do flyer drops and pay for poster distribution, things like that to try and get it out. But it didn't have a high success rate because it wasn't really a target market. And now with Facebook, we are promoting it through people that are in the industry or friends of those people, getting those fighters to share things about their fights. It just hits the target market so much more. So it really has changed how we have to do things, and we have to evolve. So I've kind of evolved too. Having said that, I'm still not overly technical. I'm not huge on the computer. I use some Facebook, a little bit of Instagram, but I'm still by no means an expert on it. The things that I do right are what I feel. The same as the things with Riddler's Gym, with the business, how we treat people. Everyone always comments on how friendly the gym is, and the great vibes that we have here in the community and things like that. And it's nothing that we've ever tried to enforce or push or anything like that. We've got the right trainers and the right personalities, and that's just how everyone is,
Yeah.
We say hi to everyone, have conversations with them, and just, I guess people can't really believe it, but it's what we love doing.
For sure. But you might be selling yourself short there as well, right? Because that's got to come from the top. So if that's the type of person you are, and you've set the tone for that culture, then that's what's going to take. That's what's going to catch on.
It's been a big part of the community here. Despite all the champions that we've had and have here at the gym, no one is really put up on a pedestal, and so there's no egos. No one's put up on that pedestal. We promote all the fighters equally. All the members. No one's really any more important than anyone else, and it stops, or not stops. It doesn't create that monster. That monster thing that can affect an environment or a community. So,
just from having that strong culture, a lot of your marketing is actually just fun, because that's sort of enforced in the culture and people talk. Then that's the message that comes across. Without much effort. We spoke a bit about culture earlier. Is there certain things that you focus on that really shapes the culture, or do you really just stick to who you are and that sort of resonates with
just really stick to who we are? Like we don't have any processes. I don't train my guys, okay, you've got to say this, you've got to say that. We are just who we are. We love being here. The guys that have jobs as trainers, Dan Skinner, Barry Oliver work full time for me. Kaylee loves being in the gym. Chris Tiger White, who used to work for me when he finished his fight career before he shifted away, just love doing what they're doing. So that carries over because you're happy, and you're motivating people. And when you're teaching and pushing people and seeing them give it a crack and just loving it, plus you're getting to pass on what you're passionate about and seeing other people enjoy it, just makes you feel good inside.
So what's next for you? Where things headed for Darren Reece and Riddler's Gym?
Oh, look, to be honest, my focus has changed, or not changed, but my focus has broadened in that, I'm not interested in expanding the business. I don't want to work more hours. Kaylee and I have had 2 boys, so I've got 2 sons, which we've had in the last 3 years. Maddox turns 3 at the end of the month. Leo's 9 months. And to be honest, I just want to spend as much time with them as I can. I don't want to in a few years go, oh, damn, I was busy. I wish I'd spent more time with the boys. Because they're only young for a period of time. In a couple of years, they're going to be in school. And then they're going to be teenagers and not want to hang out with me anymore because I'm not the cool guy. So I want to make the absolute most of that. So to be honest, I'm happy with keeping Riddler's the way it is. I've got no interest in expanding, opening another premises, getting bigger. I just love where I'm at, so that I'm enjoying life. I don't feel like I have to work harder, and I'm still working hard, but I'm also working smarter. And I've got great trainers, great team around us, which keeps things the way that they are, and keeps me happy. And my fighters still get lots of attention, lots of focus, and I don't feel that I'm doing any less a job. Everyone's getting some really big fights and still stepping up and growing through the state level, national level, and international level. So,
I love that, because sometimes it's the focus can be growth for the sake of growth. And when is enough? Enough. And if you've reached a point in your life and family comes first, and that's where you want to spend time. And I mean, the gym is awesome, producing great fighters. And it's providing for you and your family, and you get to do what you love every day. Why change? Why complicate?
Yeah.
What's there?
Yeah, like I want to train every day. I want to have, I want to have an hour for myself and train, whether it be hitting pads or doing some strength and conditioning, doing some CrossFit stuff. I love it and want to do that, and that keeps me happy, keeps me sane. And especially with the boys, where it's go, and it's all about them. You need that sort of switch off time and just be able to get in your own zone and just go for it.
Yeah, I've just reached that coolness of dad has dropped.
Yeah,
I was cool, but 13, my son being 13, I can see my coolness on the decline very quickly. Well, it's not at its end.
That would be hard to accept.
Yeah. Hey, cool, Darren. Thanks so much for hanging out and sharing. So, just quickly, if people want to know more about you, and we won't release this in the time of your next fight show coming up, but tell us about your fight shows, because you have quite a couple in circulation, and if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, we can. If you're interested in coming down and trying Riddler's Gym, we've obviously got a fairly active Facebook page. We've got a website, riddlersgym.com.au. You can check us out. It's got all about the trainers, our full schedule, pricing, everything's on there. And our fight shows, keep an eye out for Epic Fight Promotions. Epic, we're up to number 21, and which focuses on our professionals and our main experienced guys. And then my wife, Kaylee, loves to promote her show. It's called Evolve. It's coming up this Sunday. That's focused on grassroots Muay Thai, and she'll have a couple of main card fights, including a MTA state title, which she's got on this one. And she works very hard to bring that for the fighters. It's something that she feels like she wants to do on her own and give back to the sport that did so much for her.
Yeah, perfect. Hey, awesome. Darren, thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks, everyone.
Speak soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in. Was it helpful? Did you get something of good value for your martial arts business? Then please do me a favor and let us know. Leave us a comment wherever you watched or listened to this, or just head over to iTunes and just leave us an awesome review. That way we'll know that we are on the right track, and we'll keep bringing you great shows with great interviews, sharing great strategies and tips. So if you haven't yet, now's a good time to head over to our group, martialartsmedia.group. That's the Martial Arts Media business community. I'll see you in the group, and I will see you on the next show.